As we know, more than 1 million more Minnesotans are now eligible for the COVID-19 vaccines. Of course, the governor laying out the next steps just this morning. He said that he is going to expand vaccinations once 70% of seniors have received their 1 or 2 doses, but depending on the company that they get their vaccine from. Before the break, we spoke about the latest polling numbers regarding Governor Walz's handling of the pandemic. I'm bringing our chief political reporter, Tom Hauser, from our sister station, KSTP, to further the conversation. Tom, when Minnesotans were asked if they approve or disapprove of the way Minnesota Governor Tim Walz is handling the coronavirus, are you surprised at the numbers?
No, it's 54%, which is pretty solid. When you're a politician, especially in these polarized times, anytime you're over the 50% mark, you're doing something right. The interesting thing is that if you read social media, which I do every day, and I'm sure you do every day, you would think that the Governor Walz approval rating would be about 20 to 25%, because people on social media tend to gravitate toward the extreme negative position on anything, whether it's COVID-19, the vaccines, the economy, what have you. So 54% for Governor Walz is pretty good. Now, it's down from his high water mark around 80% back when this crisis first started, but 54% is still solid.
When people were asked, is the state too concerned or too involved with your health, a large percentage of people said yes, a larger percentage. It's 27% saying that the state is too focused on keeping you healthy. Does that indicate then that too many Minnesotans are thinking that the government is too involved?
In some ways, it's like, you've got a lot of the population out there who just wants, to be left alone, and they will decide what is best for them. They will decide if they wear a mask. They will decide if they get a vaccine. They will decide how to keep themselves and their family safe. But of course, the government has a role in all of this, because one of the main functions of government is public safety and public health. And sometimes people need a little nudge to do the right thing to protect other people. It's not just about you, it's about how your behavior might impact other people. So yeah, that number doesn't surprise me.
When we take a look at the poll numbers on the state level and then what people think on the federal level with the way President Biden has handled the vaccination distribution, the numbers speak a little bit differently, tell a little bit of a different story. How do you read them?
Yeah, well, the overall approval rating for the coronavirus for President Biden and Governor Walz is exactly the same, 54%. Either somewhat or strongly approve. So that is pretty telling that Minnesotans pretty much both nationally and statewide have a similar view of how things are going. And these numbers are probably in the positive territory for both the president and the governor because of all the optimism about the vaccines. The number inside these numbers that really surprised me is that 50% of Republicans in this survey say they do not plan to get vaccinated. On the Democratic side, I think it was only, I forget the exact number, either 8 or 18%, but a much, much smaller number. That really surprised me.
That tells us a lot about the partisan lines and the distrust or the trust when it comes to our government. You have been following politics many more years than I have been as involved as I am now. I know that this has been one of the hardest elections I have covered as a journalist in more than 20 years. So I don't know that I'm incredibly surprised at how wide of a gap there is when it comes to who's going to get vaccinated, because it talks about the trust that really goes down partisan lines. Do you agree?
Yes, I do. And I really wonder about the veracity of the 50% number. I don't doubt that that's what our survey shows, and that's what our pollster heard from respondents. But some of them may be saying that, but in reality, they are going to get the vaccine. But because they've identified themselves as a Republican and they've, maybe are a little more unclear or uncertain about the way the government's handling this. They're not willing to say they're going to get a vaccine, but that number just seemed very high to me. But it does kind of correlate with all of the other numbers in terms of the low percentage of Republicans who approve of either the governor or the president, both of whom, of course, are Democrats. This vaccination number kind of falls in line with that.
Well, we have more results from the SurveyUSA poll that will be coming out in the upcoming days. We were just focusing on the vaccination and what Minnesotans are thinking. And so for that, I appreciate your time, my friend, and I will let you go, and we'll hopefully talk again soon.
Absolutely. We live in fascinating times, Betsy. There's no question about it.
Indeed. Thanks, Tom.